What is your name and where are you from?
My name is Rick Barber, and I'm from Berkeley, Michigan.
How old were you on September 11th, 2001?
I was 26 years old.
Where were you on September 11th, 2001 when we were attacked?
Well, while we were being attacked, I was actually home getting ready for work, and we were listening to child's programming because we had a young daughter, and I didn't realize we had been attacked yet.
How did you find out about the attacks? What were you doing at the time?
Well, when I first heard of the first plane crashing, I was actually at the bank, and the teller at the bank had said that a plane crashed into the Sears Tower. She said that in error. She thought it was at the Chicago building.
What were your feelings and emotions when you heard about the attacks?
Well, once I got back home, I realized it was the New York building that had been the World Trade Center. So my feelings were actually a little bit relief because I did have friends that were working in the Sears Tower. So at first it seemed like maybe just a bad pilot judgment and maybe it was an innocent plane crash that happened to hit the building.
What is your most vivid memory of that day?
Well, my most vivid memory is actually when the second plane hit, because that was the realization that it wasn't an error, it wasn't an accident, it was certainly on purpose, and it was meant to inflict a lot of pain on the U.S.
Were you afraid of your safety or the safety of your family?
Very much so, especially in the beginning. Once that second plane hit, you realized it was something more than an accident, and then furthermore, we started hearing reports of other planes in the air that had been hijacked. That was really the first moment as an American that I was truly felt unsafe in my own country.
Do you remember about the nation and its leaders coming together in the days following September 11th?
I absolutely do. As we went to bed on September 11th, there was a lot of uneasy feelings, very, very much sadness in the air. And when we woke up on September 12th, you realize that all of the emergency workers were recovering bodies, doing the best they could, and there was a lot of solidarity throughout the nation. We really truly were one nation for that short time. There was no rich or poor people. There was no political affiliation. We were just simply Americans. So September 12th and the days following were pretty special.
Do you agree with the decision to invade Iraq, and why?
Well, that's a tricky one, because at the time, there was a ton of patriotism for America, and we wanted to get to the bottom of who slammed these planes into our country. So everyone was kind of on the same page with the intelligence that we had at the time, and a lot of people thought invading Iraq was the solution. What we found as time went on is that the intelligence we had was actually false, and that decision to invade probably was not the proper choice. And now, many years later, we're still dealing with the fallout with the pop-up of ISIS as a result of going into Iraq and then subsequently leaving them.
Has 9/11 changed you, and how so?
I don't think it's really changed me from my day-to-day activities. Obviously, when you go to the airport, you have to go through a metal detector, maybe an x-ray, even take off your shoes, but I think of these as minor inconveniences. From day-to-day activities, my life is pretty much the same. I do think Americans in general, though, do have a heightened sense of awareness of just what can happen, but from a daily perspective, I don't think my life has changed all that much.
Why do you think it is important for students to learn about September 11th?
Well, I think it's dramatically important for students to learn about September 11th. More importantly, it's for them to learn about the events that led up to September 11th and the events that were a result of September 11th. I think there's a lot that can be learned as far as dealing with international conflicts, maybe in a more diplomatic sense. So maybe people don't want to slam planes into our country, and maybe we would be safer down the road if some of those steps were taken.
How do you feel about the building of World Trade Center 1?
Well, I was happy when they finally completed World Trade Center 1. It kind of gave Americans the feeling that, life goes on, and in the end, we will still win. We're a free nation, and I think that World Trade Center 1 kind of is the emblem of freedom. You can tear down a building, but guess what? We'll build it right back up.